We are fantasyleaguecollective.com. All the past episodes, podcasts, everything, you can find us on podbean.com. Search FLC Podcast. You can find us on iTunes now. You can find us at YouTube.
iTunes.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's a growing thing, man. You can find us, at YouTube or on YouTube, The Collective Perspective. You can reach any of us at Ben, Harry, Dan, Doug, or Adam at fantasyleaguecollective.com. Email us. We are fantasyleaguecollective.com, where you can play for real money, win lucrative prizes for 4 different styles of fantasy. Check out the site, sign up. Leagues are joining now. We have the lowest take basically in the industry, so I think that's a pretty good point.
I think we have more options too, don't we?
Yeah, we have the most leagues by far. A lot of people say we offer too many, which might be true, but I like options. Variety's the spice of life, right?
Yes, it is. They're good to have.
They are good to have. So, yeah, you can get a hold of us in multiple ways. Also, I want to put out that starting this Sunday and then every Sunday following throughout the NFL season, we're going to be having at least 2 to 3 members of the panel on Twitter at their handle, actively talking, answering questions. So if you got any questions for who you want to start, draft questions, anything like that, Sundays at 10 to 11. This week I'm going to be doing it at Letty FLC. Tweet me whatever you want. If you have draft questions, it's probably going to be more of the heavy thing now versus starting, but that'll be coming later. So get a hold of us and we will respond. Today we'll start off with the running backs. We talked about running backs in the second show, broke down, we didn't go that in depth, we just talked about the teams that had the bell cow backs, teams that had the split backs for your running backs that are getting receptions, where that comes into value. So there's obviously a big difference between standard scoring and PPR scoring. Standard scoring, the running backs are going off the board, I think it's 15 of the top 25 are going off, and then PPR, it's a little bit less. It's not a huge difference. It's still a very popular thing to take running backs as early as possible. I'm a proponent for do the opposite and wait on running backs. We'll get into that a little bit. One of the reasons is, like last year, 58% of the top 12 running backs selected did not finish in the top 15.
Bombed.
Busted. Over the last 6 seasons, so I mean last year was the highest it's been at 58%, but over the last 6 seasons, on average, it's 45.2%. Usually because those guys they're the bell cow guys, and they get injured. And, well, Lacey didn't get injured; he just got fat.
He just got fat.
He did really well at that.
Yeah, he was really.
Last year, you had top tier. Devonta Freeman was the #1 running back. He's not going to be this year.
Where was he ranked at the beginning of the year last year?
He was going mostly undrafted.
Exactly. But he was the #1 guy.
Just another point for the no running back.
Exactly.
Because you can always, there's gold to be mined down deep in them 10th, 12th rounds.
Free agent pickups.
Absolutely. Between Devonta Freeman, Jamal Charles, and Arian Foster, who only played 4 games, but for the purpose of the games that he did play, they averaged about 20.5 points a game in PPR. Standard-wise, Devonta Freeman and Charles average about 60. That's huge for running backs.
Yeah.
You can't replace that. But, I mean, Freeman was healthy all year, which is, he missed 1 game, I believe.
Yeah.
Foster was...
And they've got Tevin Coleman back this year, too.
Who I believe is going to take some touches. I think he's going to run in between the 20s, and then Freeman will be more passing down, and once they get inside the red zone and stuff like that, he should still see some rushes.
He'll see the end zone.
Second tier was Le'Veon Bell and Deion Lewis. Both those guys got injured. Third tier, Bell and Lewis are at 18 points a game, PPR. Third tier is at 16 points a game. You got your Ingram, your Peterson, Forte, Gurley, Denny Woodhead, Doug Martin, LaShawn McCoy. Fourth tier is 14 points a game. Lamar Miller, who I have ranked as number 1 running back this year. Love that situation that he has in Houston.
Me too.
He was one of your loves, wasn't he?
I believe he was.
DeAngelo Williams, Tim Hightower, Chris Ivory, those guys sitting around 14 points, 12 points a game. Darren McFadden, DeMarco Murray, who sucked. Lance Dunbar was up there. He did. He just, yeah, it was an all-around bad situation. Charles Sims was up there, you know. So there's a lot of guys that you can get in there. When you break, that's PPR. When you break it into standard, your tiers are a lot different. It drops significantly, which is why you want to have wide receivers, because the drop is less significant and there's more wide receivers to choose from. You have your 16 points per game for Devonta Freeman, Jamal Charles, 14 points a game, Bell, Peterson, Gurley, and Foster, 12 points. You got Ingram, Martin, Forte, LaShawn McCoy. Then it gets to 10.5 at your 4th tier, Lamar Miller, Chris Ivory. So basically you need these guys to score a touchdown. Once you're getting past the 4th tier of DeMarco Murray, one of the reasons that he was terrible. He wasn't scoring any touchdowns.
Right.
Thomas Rawls, that was because he played some games, but he didn't actually start them. When he did start, he did very, very well. Justin Forsett was at 8.5 a game. Ronnie Hillman, Rashad Jennings, and then once you get to the 5th tier, about 7.5 points a game and below, then you're just a TD every 4 or 5 games at best. You're just hoping for that.
It makes a big difference with standard versus PPR.
It does. It does. So what we have, one of the things is this season from stat. Which one is it here? I better quote it right because I don't want to get in trouble. From ScoutFantasy.com, they broke down the schedule, fantasy-friendly schedules. So just a quick top 10. Seattle's sitting at number 1. Tampa Bay's got number 2. Giants at the 3rd one, but they have no one back there. Dallas has the 4th, so that should just throw some more wood on the Ezekiel Elliott fire that everyone is toting. Detroit has the 5th, and they have a mess in the backfield. Carolina, 6th. Washington, 7th. Chicago, 8th. Minnesota, 9th. Green Bay, 10th. I think with Minnesota and Green Bay, that should help both Peterson and Lacey.
Maybe he's not too chubby.
Well, he's slimmed down and he's feeling good. He looked pretty decent preseason. Yes, I think he had one decent run. It wasn't too terribly bad.
Well, that's one more than he had last year.
Except for that one game against the Vikings.
Yeah, we don't want to
Yeah.
talk about that.
Hey, they won the division. That's all that
That's
matters.
right.
So then what we did with our running backs, we took our rankings and we put them into our own tiers, created our own tiers, and then we have them where their average draft position, where they're going off the board. So we're going to let you know where some people are going. We'll touch on the top guys, obviously, are going to be going number 1, stuff like that, but where we think you can find some better value farther down in the draft. I mean, doing the 0, no running backs, do the opposite deal. You still have to be flexible. If you can get, say, Jamal Charles in the late 3rd round, early 4th round,
That's a good deal.
you jump on that.
Yep.
You have to be a little bit flexible. It's still good to have a plan, but you have to be able to move about it. So based off of our rankings,
But it all depends on how you draft too. If you do a snake draft and you don't know your position when you go in there, so sometimes you're going to pick number 1 and you might end up picking number 10. You don't know when you go into your draft where you're picking. So you can have a plan when you go in there, but then all of a sudden your plan backfires because your top 4 guys that you wanted are gone. So now you got to totally change your strategy in the middle of the draft, right when it starts.
yep, got to be flexible.
Yeah.
So, okay, if you had, talking snake draft here, where would you want to draft this year? What number would you ideally, where do you want to draft?
Personally, I like the 10 spot. I really do. You get back-to-backs, and I'm taking wide receiver.
I'd be happy with anywhere in the top 3, just so that I can either have Beckham, Jones, or Brown, because they're the 3 big dogs. But I'd be fine with number 1 coming back. I'm going to have 3 picks in the top 25. 24 and 25, I can still get, Brandon Marshall's probably going to still be around. I can still get by that time, we should still be able to get a top tier tight end.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where I draft,
You just dominate your leagues no matter what, right?
yeah, right.
All right, so what we have, our rankings. Lamar Miller, ranked number 1. We're predicting about 20.5 points a game. Love the situation in Houston.
I do too.
Brock
They
Osweiler,
never used him in Miami the way they should have, and when they did use him, he was a machine.
extremely efficient. But no, I never understood what Miami's doing, but
He can catch the ball, he can run the ball.
he stayed relatively healthy.
Yeah, he just was underused.
And who else are they going to get the ball to? Alfred Blue, Chris Polk.
Yeah, they did last year.
I guess they had to. And Foster's gone.
Yeah, it's a good situation.
I agree. Second tier, figured about 18 points a game. Jamal Charles, Le'Veon Bell, Arian Foster, David Johnson.
David Johnson. I think he's another one of my loves, isn't he?
He is. And if they're going to run the way I think they are, I think he could get in the 20 range per game. But he had 3 runs for 39 yards, something last week. Looking great, catches the ball, awesome. I love the situation also in Arizona. I honestly think that Palmer's not going to be passing as much. They're going to have a good defense.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be run heavy, because their defense is so good. It'll be ball control.
And their wide receivers are so good. And Fitzgerald, I always say, is one of the best blocking.
Fitzgerald's probably their 3rd best
Wide
receiver right now.
He is.
That's sad.
That's why he was one of my hates, sadly.
I think David Johnson could be the number 1 fantasy player of the year.
He's got the potential. He does. Foster, when the guy plays, he puts out numbers. With Adam Gase as head coach, as long as he can stay healthy, I mean, Ajayi or whatever, however you say it, he's not good. Foster's going to get the majority of the touches.
I believe you're right.
Until he
Because
goes
he's
down.
Arian Foster.
And he's really good. And he's excellent out of the backfield. PPR-wise, the guy's a stud. Even in standard, he does extremely well. Third tier, you're looking at about 16 points a game on average. And all these guys, well, Foster, everyone we've said so far is going in 1st and 2nd round. I mean, Bell, some averages late 2nd, early 3rd round. Johnson's, a lot of them, number 1 overall pick. Jamal Charles in the 2nd round. But Foster's been going in the 5th round, and his stock is going up, and it's probably going to keep going up throughout the preseason as they see him healthy. But if you can get Foster in the 5th round, that's
a great deal.
I think that's a great deal as well. So at the 3rd tier, 16 points a game, AP, Mark Ingram, Sean McCoy, Deion Lewis, Thomas Rawls, Forte, and D'Angelo Williams. D'Angelo Williams is interesting because it just depends on how much he's going to play, and also depends on what Bell's going to do. If he's going to smoke some more weed, or if he's going to miss a drug test, or if he's going to get injured. By far, obviously, the top handcuff. He's not very smart. It just, obviously, he's not. I mean, he's losing out on millions of dollars. I don't understand it.
I don't either. I don't get it. You got a good career and you're ruining it.
And you can get Williams, his average draft position now is about the 6th round. Deion Lewis, a late 4th round. I think that's a pretty alright deal. Again, if he can stay healthy, he might be, he's probably not going to rush for 15, 20 times a game, but he's going to see a lot of receptions on the backfield. That's New England's deal.
But he also plays for Belichick. And you know what that means for running backs. You get one bad game, you're in the doghouse. And you never know with that guy. He can throw Lewis in one game, and then all of a sudden he throws another guy that you've never even heard of. He's notorious for doing this.
It's obviously worked for him, but
It's worked very well. That's why I'm really leery of New England running backs.
last year he put up stellar numbers
He
when he
did.
did play, and then he got hurt, obviously. So.
Yep.
I mean, and Thomas Rawls, Seattle has the best fantasy, or most fantasy-friendly run back schedule. their offensive line isn't very good, but Rawls should do pretty well. Michael Christine's getting a lot of good words out of camp and out of preseason. He looked really good in preseason, so I think he actually is going to see some touches. And I mean, if Rawls obviously goes down, Michael Christine would be an excellent guy to have as a handcuff, and you can get him in 10th round or later.
Yeah, maybe even a free agent.
Quite possibly. On that, everyone else is, Ingram's going early second round. Forte, you can get in the 4th round. He's just starting to practice. They're starting to like what they see. I mean, it's never negative coming out of camp. It's always positive stuff. You
Right.
notice that? Unless they're injured.
Or they're Le'Veon Bell.
Or Alshon Jeffrey. One injury is just, oh. For our 4th tier, we're looking at about 14 points a game. We're putting Devonta Freeman in this. Devonta Freeman's going, on average, middle to late second round. We touched on it earlier. We both think that Coleman's going to see some touches, between the 20s, and then Freeman will be more of a third down back, catching receptions. He's still going to do all right, but putting up last year's number, there's no way, right? I mean, there's just no way.
I don't see it. And he faded towards the end. That's why I'm not real high on him.
Well, what is it? Almost half of his points were accumulated in 3 or 4 games?
Yeah.
Something like
I
that?
think I went over that before. It was just a few games where most of his points were accumulated, which is not good. You don't want them at the beginning of the year. You want the guys that are going to be strong at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
That's what wins championships. Beginning of the year doesn't do anything.
That's something we're going to touch on next show, is looking at the playoff schedule, teams that are playing, so the guys that you're going to want during that. So continuing on the 4th tier, Devonta Freeman, first one. Ezekiel Elliott, he's going in first round. A lot of people are super high on him. I just don't think that, one, he's got a bit of an injury issue. He's a rookie. Yes, he can catch, but there's still a lot of stuff in the NFL that takes a little bit to get to. Everyone talks about Dallas's offensive line, how great they are, and they are good. Last year they were ranked Pro Football Focus #1 passing and rushing, but
It's still tough for a rookie. I don't care. It's tough for a rookie to come into the league and just light it up. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, last year you had Melvin Gordon, who was supposed to light it up. By the way, Melvin Gordon scored a touchdown last week.
he did.
His first
Yay, Melvin Gordon! Congratulations.
one. So maybe that's a sign of things to come for Melvin Gordon too. He can't be worse than he was last year.
Well, Gurley obviously did
Gurley did
very
great.
well, but he's actually the next guy, Todd Gurley. I just don't think he's going to do that. With the situation that they have there, it's, he's going to have games where he's going to do really well. But head-to-head wise, he's also, last year he had 4 games where he scored under 50 or 5 points, I believe. And he is going to have good games, but throughout the year, average-wise, I think it's just not going to end up being all that great. Rookie quarterback, defense is going to be decent, but they have basically no wide receivers, and he doesn't catch the ball much, so
Maybe that'll change.
hopefully, but, AP was supposed to be catching balls, and he can't do that. He just can't seem to learn that. Eddie Lacy's sitting at 14 a game. I think Starks is going to be taking a decent amount of third down plays, catching out of the backfield, and still get some rushes. He could have a really big year, or he could, 14 a game I think is pretty decent from him. Doug Martin, they have Tampa Bay as the second best rushing, or second most rushing friendly schedule, so I think it bodes better for Sims personally, but Martin is going to play.
And he played well last year. After, what do you have, 2 down years? 1?
Yeah, 2 down years.
He was non-existent, and then last year he played well. He was the second leading rusher in the NFL.
He's also in the contract here.
Exactly.
And you have your Giovanni Bernard. I really think he's actually going to do pretty well this year.
Better than Jeremy Hill.
It won't take much. Granted, Bernard didn't have the greatest year last year, but I think he's going to do pretty well both out of the backfield, and I think they're going to get more rushes. He just needs to get more touchdowns. That's his biggest deal. And then the latest one to fly higher up DeMarco Murray for Tennessee had his, 75-yard run for preseason, and he's just been rocketing up in drafts as of late. I still think, based on the two, so if you're going to be going standard-wise, I don't want to say that Derrick Henry's probably going to be a better option. He's going to get some rushes, and he's going to get the goal line touches. Whereas if you're going PPR, DeMarco Murray's going to have a better option at scoring more points.
There's a reason they drafted Henry.
He's huge. I mean, guy's a mountain.
Yeah, they didn't draft him to sit him.
And then we have last, Ryan Matthews. What do you think of Ryan Matthews?
I like him. I think Matthews, if he can stay healthy, he can be one of the top backs. In my opinion, he's super tough after contact. I think he averaged more yards after contact than anybody did last year. Maybe that's why he's hurt all the time.
Probably, yeah.
When he
That's
touches
one
the
thing.
ball, he's tough.
And he averaged 5 yards a carry, I think, last year. I mean, he did, compared to DeMarco Murray.
If Matthews stays healthy, he could end up easily being a tier 2 back, I think, with Philadelphia.
And he can catch the ball in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Up-tempo offense. He's got no one behind him, so he's the bell cow. He's going in the 6th round. I mean, you can get Giovanni Bernard in the 6th round. I think you could probably even wait to 7th or 8th for him. Might be, I mean,
If you get Matthews in the 6th round, you take him.
I think that, and that, you know, that's a good spot for him. But Gurley's going number 1. I just don't think he's going in the 1st round. I mean, some people have him going as number 1 ranked running back and number 1 off the board. I just don't think it's going to be there.
Well,
Maybe
Elliott
stop
too.
for
Elliott
that.
hasn't even played a game yet.
That's what I could not spend my number 1 pick in any draft on a rookie who I've never seen play other than in college, because college, as they all say, there's a vast difference between
It's huge.
NFL and college. 5th tier, we have Harry's candidate for the rushing title.
Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde. Main reason he's there, I think that might actually even be high. His ADP is going in the 4th round. I wouldn't take him before at least the 6th. Probably the 7th. He doesn't catch that many balls out of the backfield. He's an okay receiver, but they just don't throw the ball that much. Sean Drawn is there. He actually did okay catching balls out of the... Next we have Melvin Gordon. Scored a touchdown. Yay!
Good job, Gordon.
Maybe dive in there.
I think he's going to be a lot better. For the simple reason that he can't be worse than he was last year.
If that is no reason, I mean, that's just the number 1. It's San Diego. Are they going to be that? Are they really going to be that bad? I don't know if they're going to be that.
Their
bad.
offensive line has improved this year, and I mean,
Wouldn't take much. They were at the bottom of the barrel.
yeah, they had the fewest yards per rush, I believe San Diego did. Their offensive line was the worst in the league. Right up there with the Vikings last year. I still think Gordon's going to be a good running back. I might eat those words, but when he came out of college, I thought he was going to be good. He's just different than the other running backs that have come out of there.
Well, the next one coming out of there, Danny Woodhead. Same thing. The guy's a PPR machine. Still
No
gets
question.
a few rushes, 20, 25 yards. That's a couple points, but out of the backfield, the guy's a stud. You can't go wrong. He's
5th round,
yeah, early middle 5th round.
especially if you have a flex. I don't know if there's a better flex you can play than Woodhead.
No. Theo Riddick for Detroit. Detroit has the 5th best fantasy rushing schedule. So Amir Abdullah should do wait. No, he's not, because he's not that good. He's one of my hates.
But Riddick is like Woodhead, and he's another one that catches the ball very well. That's where he gets a lot of his yards.
He was a PPR machine last year.
Yeah, he's like
If he gets some
Woodhead.
touchdowns.
They're the top 2 guys. Woodhead and
Mhm.
Riddick are the top 2 PPR guys.
Yep. Below Powell was right below them in my opinion. With New Jersey, or not New Jersey, New York
Jersey,
Jets.
yeah, team.
They don't deserve one.
I think Herschel Walker played on that team, the Generals.
He's excellent on the backfield. Forte, also excellent on the backfield. they're both getting paid roundabouts the same amount of money. He's gonna see touches, and he's gonna produce. They're gonna be a high-scoring offense. I think Jets are gonna do very, very well
I
this
also
year.
started Powell in my fantasy playoffs last year.
And he did really well.
He did very well.
Yes, he did. Down the stretch. Jonathan Stewart coming at the back. Jonathan Stewart, Jeremy Hill coming at the back end at 12 a game, and that's a little bit of a stretch. These, Powell you can get in the 9th round. Riddick you can get in the 8th round, on average. Jonathan Stewart and Jeremy Hill are going in the 6th round. Jeremy Hill,
Bombed.
really bad, and
He was my number 1 pick last year.
I had him as my number 1 running back in a league or two as well. Cincinnati, if they're ahead, they will give him the ball. If they're not,
And they should be ahead.
they should. They look actually first team, both offense and defense against Vikes look really good. So they should. I see his touchdown total going up from last year. If he can hold on to the ball, he should be able to do that. I think Cincinnati's going to run the ball more just because they don't have nearly as many options other than A.J. Green. Tyler Boyd, I think he's going to do well this year, but
But Cincinnati's another two-headed machine. You don't know who's going to do what with Bernard or Hill. That was the issue last year.
yep, it's one or the other. Never seems to be both in the same game. It's always one or the other.
Yep.
And rounding out the back end, C.J. Anderson, who a lot of guys are very high on. Some have him going as early as the late 3rd round, early 4th round. Not high on him at all. Don't like the timeshare. Hillman's the number 2 right now, and then Booker right behind. Booker's looking good. I don't like the team. I know it's going to be a running team because they have Sanchez, and Sanchez is terrible.
Oh, come on.
Unless you're talking about throwing interceptions, he's really good at throwing interceptions.
They said
Really good at doing
They said
that.
he looks good right now. But of course, I'm
Well,
not
I
going to
would-
say he looks bad.
I think he went, 10 to 13, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The interception he threw was terrible. I mean, it was bad.
Christian
still gonna
Ponder
do that.
bad?
He's back. Did you see that? 49ers.
I know.
If that doesn't tell you the state of that team, I don't know what does. Charles Sims coming in round 10 a game. I think that is actually a floor for him. I think he has possibility. He won't overtake Doug Martin, but he's going to see. I think he's going to average probably anywhere from 4 to 5 receptions a game. He's going to get 5-10 rushes a game. They're talking a lot of good things about him coming out of camp. You can get him in the 8th round. I think that's a steal. I'd take him in the 6th round.
He's one of your loves, isn't he?
He is.
He must be because
He
you
is.
kind of gushing over him.
I kind of got a man crush, I can't lie. Frank Gore, and I think I actually, after seeing Indianapolis play their offensive line preseason, unless that's something I'm going to watch throughout the year or the preseason, but their offensive line looked terrible, and the running backs got basically 0 yards. Frank Gore probably is not going to do very well this year. I don't think anyone is going to do very well for him this year.
Frank Gore just turned 57, I think, didn't he?
Yesterday. Oh, weird.
Yeah, happy birthday, Frank. He's got to start fading.
Yeah, it's just a bad situation for him. Shot, you can get him 7th round. I wouldn't take him. There's a lot of other guys that I'd take in the 10th before I'd take him. Rashard Jennings, you can get in the 7th round. Tevin Coleman, you can get him in the 9th round. I like Tevin Coleman. I just don't think he's going to get a lot of, in the red zone area. So it's going to be
However, Freeman gets hurt.
as a handcuff, yes. And Coleman's going in the 9th round, so
He's a good handcuff.
absolutely, absolutely. Carlos Williams is going in the 13th round. He's suspended 4 games, and he took after Eddie Lacy and got fat. But the guy's a beast, and when he does play, he's a touchdown machine. He will snipe away touchdowns from McCoy when he gets back into shape and gets back into playing after the 4 games. I like Carlos Williams. I think he can do really well. But on average, yeah, he's just not going to see the touches. So around 10 a game because he's a touchdown-dependent back. He's a good one for standard ones especially. And then lastly, Jeremy Langford, and I think that's at around about 10 points a game PPR. I think that's probably going to have to go down because Chicago's offensive line is abysmal. They're showing against Denver. And I mean, I know Denver is a very good defense, but it's preseason. They were just getting destroyed.
Nobody's that high on Langford this year for some reason.
Yeah, but he's going in the 5th round. I know he's a lead back, but you got Howard behind him, and I'm not high on him at all. I can't. I think I should drop him. I think I will drop him farther down my rankings. So some other guys that are going to be hanging around in some of the later rounds that would be nice to have. Jarrett McKinnon as a handcuff, not only as a handcuff to AP, but he's also going to be seeing some.
He's going to be touching the ball a lot more this year.
He is.
They don't have a choice.
They're talking about throwing him out and running routes just because he's so just athletic. Devontae Booker for Denver. He's behind Hillman and Anderson and Hillman now, number 3, but he might be able to take over the number 2 or even later in the year take over number 1. Anderson and Hillman both had some nagging injuries last year. He's a rookie coming in. DeAndre Washington, who we talked a little bit about before. I like DeAndre Washington, especially at that, as a handcuff, but just for the fact that Murray just really isn't that good. Christine Michael, good handcuff to Thomas Rawls. He might even actually see 5 to 10 probably around 5 to 6, 7 touches a game, depending on how Rawls does with his injury. But coming after that major ankle injury, good handcuff to have. Spencer Ware is actually getting not a lot of love, and he is far and above better than Gigantic West, and he's the goal line guy. I'd take him probably around anywhere from the 7th to 8th round myself. He's the goal line back. They're going to be, it's going to be kid gloves with Charles. They're not going to be rushing him.
Exactly.
So
you still don't even know how healthy the guy really is going to be.
Mm-hmm. They just started practicing, so hopefully he's in line for week 1. And yeah, you can get him after the 10th round, 13th to 14th round, and I think he's probably
It's a good handcuff.
Not only a good handcuff, but especially in standard format, because we all know how wonderful Kansas City Chiefs are at throwing. Alex Smith, there we go. How wonderful he is at throwing touchdowns to a wide receiver, because
both of them last year.
They went, not last year, but 2 years ago, they didn't have literally all year, they didn't have a touchdown to a wide receiver. All year.
That's not good. That's the NFL.
That's amazing.
You'd almost have to try not to do that.
I think he did. I think that was the point, just to see if I can do it. And then Isaiah Crowell, we touched on it a little bit. We don't know what the Cleveland backfield's going to do. It's going to be a multitude of different guys here and there. So until that shakes out, you can stash him on the bench. It wouldn't be anyone that I'd be looking to start. And actually, one guy that I'm starting to rise up my ranks is Darren Sproles.
Sproles is always tough. He's a PPR machine too.
But with Matthews and the injuries, you're not so sure what there. And then we have Smallwood as the rookie coming in. I think Sproles could be touching the ball anywhere from 8 to 10 times a game. And if you can get him 13th, 14th round, I think he's a steal.
He's another great flex play.
Absolutely. TJ Yeldon still is getting drafted late. Jay Ajayi, if you're going to draft Foster, you have to plan to draft Ajayi.
You have to.
You have to, because it's going to happen once the injuries come.
There's the one guy you always draft his backup.
Because it's going to happen.
It will happen.
One way or another. And that should do it for your running backs. Hopefully give you an idea of where players are going off the board. Some of the guys that you can look to steal later on in the rounds. And then, the top ones everyone knows. But give you a little bit of ammo for when you can make your strategy for when you go into your drafts in the coming 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
We are FantasyLeagueCollective.com. Leagues are forming. You can join any of the 4 league styles that we have. We have the head-to-head standard, straight points league, dynasty league, or the survivor leagues. There's no draft in the survivor leagues, but I do love drafting. I do love the survivor. I really love the survivor. I just think it's so cool. Too. We got spots where we have the panel, 4 panel. I can't do it because I have to be the commissioner over it, but we have the other 4 people in the panel. Spots open for a 16-week, $100 Survivor League. You can play against them and let them know how much better you are than them.
Yeah, let us know.
Absolutely. Like I said before, Sunday from 10 to 11, I will be on Twitter at LettyFLC. Tweet me your questions. I'll answer draft questions. Obviously not starting questions yet, but any of your draft questions, questions about leagues, how to run leagues, stuff like that, let me know. That'll be happening every week. You're at FantasyLeagueCollector.com. You can find us on Facebook, FantasyLeagueCollector.com. Find us on YouTube. All of our episodes are on there. Also full shows. You can podcast us at Podbean.com. Search FLC Podcast. You can find us on iTunes. We're everywhere. We're just a growing thing.
That's a good thing.
That is a good thing. That should do it. Thanks a lot.